Ladies and gentlemen, if this video found you, then pause for a moment and feel the weight of that sentence. Because perhaps it did not arrive by accident. Perhaps it arrived because some part of you, deep beneath the noise, has been waiting for a voice that finally speaks to your soul. Perhaps you were meant to stop here, right now, at this exact moment, and listen. Not with your ears only, but with your heart. Not with your thoughts alone, but with the part of you that has been quietly asking for help while the world kept you distracted. Maybe you have been wondering why your life feels heavy, even when everything looks fine on the outside. Maybe you have smiled in rooms where your spirit was exhausted. Maybe you have answered messages while your mind was screaming for silence. Maybe you have spent years trying to be what others expected, until one day you looked in the mirror and realized you had become a stranger to yourself. If that is you, then listen carefully. Your life is not broken beyond repair. Your soul is not lost. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are not a failure because you are searching. You are becoming because you are searching. There comes a point in every human life when pretending becomes more painful than honesty. There comes a point when the mask grows heavier than the face beneath it. There comes a point when success feels empty, approval feels fragile, and the applause of others cannot silence the quiet ache inside. That is the moment when life begins to call your name in a deeper way. That is the moment when the outer world stops being enough, and the inner world starts demanding attention. That is the moment when your true journey begins. Carl Jung understood something many people spend an entire lifetime trying to avoid, that the greatest battles are not fought in the world around us, but in the world within us. He understood that a person can know all the facts and still remain ignorant of themselves. He understood that the human being is not healed by performance but by truth. He understood that the soul has its own timing, its own language, its own path, and when you ignore it for too long, it does not disappear. It returns through restlessness, through loneliness, through confusion, through broken relationships, through dreams, through patterns you cannot explain, through moments that feel too meaningful to dismiss. And maybe that is why you are here now. Maybe you have reached a point where the old ways no longer satisfy you. The old excuses no longer comfort you. The old habits no longer protect you. The old identity no longer fits. Something inside you is pressing against the limits of who you have been, and it will not let you stay the same. That pressure is not punishment. That pressure is growth. That pressure is the beginning of awakening. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing you must understand is this. Not every pain in your life is a curse. Some pain is a messenger. Some pain arrives to reveal what you have ignored for too long. Some pain shows you where your life is out of alignment. Some pain exposes the places where you have abandoned yourself to keep others comfortable. Some pain is not trying to destroy you, it is trying to wake you up. You may have been taught to fear discomfort, to avoid silence, to outrun loneliness, to fill every empty space with stimulation. But the truth is that the soul grows in the quiet places. The soul speaks when the noise dies down. The soul reveals itself in the stillness you have been avoiding. When the music stops, when the messages stop, when the distractions fade, when the crowd goes home, what remains? That is the question. Because what remains is the truth of who you are when you are no longer performing for anyone. And this is where many people become frightened. They are willing to build a life, but not willing to meet themselves in that life. They are willing to chase goals, but not willing to confront the emptiness that sometimes accompanies success without meaning. They are willing to collect achievements, but not willing to ask whether those achievements are truly theirs, or merely borrowed desires from a world that told them who they should be. They are willing to be admired, but not willing to be known. And yet being known by others means very little if you remain unknown to yourself. Look closely at your life. Notice the patterns. Notice the repeated disappointments. Notice the same argument in different clothes. Notice the same fear wearing different names. Notice the same wound appearing in different relationships. Notice the same dream returning at night. Notice the same thought whispering in your mind when everything is quiet. Life often repeats what the soul has not yet learned. What you do not face in awareness, you will meet again as fate. What you refuse to understand in reflection, you will encounter as repetition. The universe, life, reality, whatever name you give it, has a way of bringing the lesson back until you are ready to learn it. And the lesson is often this: stop abandoning yourself. Stop living only for approval. Stop reducing your life to appearances. Stop shrinking your truth so other people do not feel uncomfortable. Stop calling it peace when it is actually silence born from fear. Stop calling it loyalty when it is really self-betrayal. Stop calling it stability when it is really stagnation. Stop calling it love when it is really dependency. Stop calling it success when it is really exhaustion. Be honest. Truth is the beginning of transformation. There is a self inside you that has been buried under expectations, responsibilities, wounds, fears, and roles. That self has not vanished. It is still there. It is waiting beneath the noise. It is waiting beneath the stories you tell about your limitations. It is waiting beneath the shame, beneath the comparison, beneath the sadness, beneath the false certainty that this is just who you are and nothing can change. That self is calling you toward wholeness. It wants your attention. It wants your courage. It wants your honesty. It wants your life. And here is something many people never learn. The person you are meant to become is not built by adding more and more from the outside. It is revealed by removing what is false. Growth is not only expansion. Growth is also subtraction. You become more yourself not only by gaining knowledge, but by losing illusion. You become more yourself not only by collecting wins, but by releasing the identity that was built on fear. You become more yourself by letting truth strip away what was never truly yours. That is why difficult seasons can become sacred seasons. Not because pain is good in itself, but because pain can reveal what comfort hides. A difficult season can strip away vanity. It can expose fragile foundations. It can show you who stays when the performance ends. It can teach you that strength is not the absence of struggle, but the decision to remain upright in the middle of it. It can force you to ask questions you were too busy to ask before. Who am I when I am not admired? Who am I when I am not productive? Who am I when I am not in control? Who am I when I am alone? Who am I when everything external falls away? These are not small questions. They are the questions that shape a life. Ladies and gentlemen, the world rewards imitation, but the soul demands individuation. That means your life cannot be a copy if it is ever going to become whole. It cannot be borrowed from someone else's dream, someone else's timeline, someone else's values, someone else's definition of worth. You may learn from others, you may be inspired by others, you may admire others, but you cannot become yourself by hiding inside someone else's life. Your path will require your own courage, your own pace, your own wounds, your own wisdom, your own mistakes, your own becoming. And yes, becoming yourself is costly. It will cost you some relationships built only on your obedience. It will cost you some habits that numb your pain, but also numb your potential. It will cost you some versions of success that look impressive but feel empty. It will cost you the illusion that you can please everyone and still be free. It will cost you the comfort of being understood by people who need you to stay small. But what you gain is far greater. Integrity, peace, direction, depth, power, authenticity. A life that finally feels like it belongs to you. Do not be afraid of the shadow within you. Jung spoke of the shadow as the hidden, rejected, denied part of the self. It includes the parts you dislike, the parts you hide, the parts you judge, the parts you refuse to admit are there. Many people spend years pretending they have no darkness, but repression does not erase the shadow. It only makes it stronger in the background. What is denied does not vanish. What is denied influences your choices, your reactions, your projections, your relationships, your fears, your impulses, your judgments. The shadow is not destroyed by denial. It is transformed by awareness. So face it. Face your jealousy instead of pretending you are above it. Face your anger instead of disguising it as righteousness. Face your insecurity instead of dressing it as arrogance. Face your loneliness instead of filling it with noise. Face your need for control instead of calling it discipline. Face your fear of being ordinary instead of trying to impress the world. Face your envy, your resentment, your guilt, your shame, your wounds. Not to condemn yourself, but to understand yourself, because what you understand, you can integrate. What you integrate, you can heal. What you heal, you no longer need to project onto others. There is extraordinary freedom in this work. It is not glamorous work. It is not fast work. It is not work that gets applause on social media. It is deep work. It is patient work. It is the kind of work that asks you to sit alone with your own thoughts and not run. It asks you to stop escaping. It asks you to listen. It asks you to write down what hurts. It asks you to tell the truth in moments when lying would be easier. It asks you to forgive yourself for the years you did not know better. It asks you to take responsibility without collapsing into shame. It asks you to become a student of your own soul. And when you do, something begins to change. At first, the change may not look dramatic. It may begin quietly. You may notice that the things that once controlled you lose some of their power. You may notice that a compliment no longer defines you. You may notice that criticism no longer destroys you. You may notice that you can sit with discomfort without immediately trying to escape it. You may notice that your choices become clearer. You may notice that you no longer need to explain your growth to everyone. You may notice that you are no longer desperate to be chosen by those who could never truly see you. You may notice that your heart feels less scattered. You may notice that your life begins to organize itself around what matters. That is what alignment feels like. Alignment does not mean life becomes easy. It means life becomes meaningful. Alignment does not mean all pain disappears. It means your pain begins to point somewhere. Alignment does not mean you will never doubt yourself. It means your doubt will no longer have final authority. Alignment does not mean you never feel fear. It means fear no longer drives the entire vehicle. Alignment means the inner and outer self begin to move in the same direction. And when that happens, your energy changes. Your decisions change. Your relationships change. The way you speak changes. The way you enter a room changes. The way you work changes. The way you rest changes. The way you love changes. You stop living as a divided person and begin living as a whole one. Most people are divided without realizing it. They present one face to the world and carry another face in private. They are confident in public but terrified in private. They are generous in appearance but secretly hungry for validation. They talk about peace while harboring unresolved rage. They speak about love while withholding themselves from intimacy. They seem strong, but the strength is often armor. They seem calm, but the calm is often suppression. They seem certain, but the certainty is often fear of being questioned. They are fragmented, and fragmentation is exhausting. Wholeness is the answer. Not perfection, not image, not control. Wholeness. The ability to hold light and darkness without collapsing. The ability to admit weakness without surrendering dignity. The ability to acknowledge pain without becoming pain. The ability to learn from failure without worshipping failure. The ability to see yourself honestly and still say, I will keep going. That is strength. That is maturity. That is freedom. There is a moment in every great transformation when the old identity starts to resist. The old identity says, stay where you are. This is safer. This is familiar. This is what people expect. This is what has worked before. But the deeper self says, no, there is more. There is truth beyond fear. There is life beyond habit. There is meaning beyond survival. And the battle between these two voices is one of the central battles of human life. Do not assume that because something is familiar, it is good for you. Familiarity is not wisdom. Familiarity is not truth. Familiarity is just repetition. You can repeat a wound for years and call it identity. You can repeat a limitation for years and call it realism. You can repeat a fear for years and call it caution. But the soul is not asking you to remain the same, because sameness is comfortable. The soul is asking you to evolve because life itself is movement. Everything alive grows, changes, adapts, and transforms. Only what is dead resists all change. So become alive. Become honest with yourself about the life you have built. Ask whether it nourishes you or merely occupies you. Ask whether the people around you encourage your growth or keep you dependent. Ask whether your habits sharpen your mind or dull your spirit. Ask whether your daily routine serves your becoming or silently steals it. Ask whether your goals are truly meaningful or just impressive. Ask whether you are building a life or merely surviving one. These questions may unsettle you, but they can also save you. Because a life without questions is a life that can be manipulated. A life without reflection becomes a life of reaction. A person who never looks inward will be ruled by outside forces forever. Trends will shape them, fears will govern them, approval will control them, rejection will define them, but a person who learns to look within becomes unshakable in a different way. Not because nothing can touch them, but because they know who they are when touched. They know what is real. They know what is passing. They know what matters. And when you know what matters, you stop wasting your life on what does not. Do not underestimate the power of one sincere conversation with yourself. Sit down in silence and ask, what have I been avoiding? Ask, what am I pretending not to know? Ask, where have I betrayed myself in order to be accepted? Ask, what kind of life would I build if I were not trying to impress anyone? Ask, what have I been calling love that was actually fear? Ask, what have I been calling success that was actually emptiness? Ask, what do I genuinely want if no one else's opinion is allowed to enter the room? These questions can feel uncomfortable because they cut through illusion, but only truth can free you. The more honest you become, the less energy you waste. The less energy you waste, the clearer your path becomes. The clearer your path becomes, the more your actions begin to matter. And when your actions matter, your life stops feeling accidental. It starts feeling directed. It starts feeling chosen. It starts feeling yours. There are people listening right now who are tired in ways they cannot explain. You are tired of being misunderstood, tired of pretending, tired of carrying pain in silence, tired of beginning again, tired of losing parts of yourself just to keep relationships intact, tired of trying so hard and still feeling unseen, tired of the inner conflict no one else can hear. To you, I say this gently but firmly. Your exhaustion is not weakness. It is information. It is your system asking for truth. It is your spirit asking for a different way to live. Maybe you need more rest. Maybe you need stronger boundaries. Maybe you need less noise. Maybe you need deeper friendships. Maybe you need to stop saying yes when your soul is saying no. Maybe you need to stop trying to become someone else's version of enough. Maybe you need to grieve the life you thought you would have so you can finally receive the life that is actually waiting for you. Whatever the exact answer is for you, do not ignore the message. The body speaks, the heart speaks, the dreams speak, the patterns speak, the silence speaks. The question is whether you are willing to listen. And if this video found you at a time when you felt alone, understand this. Being alone is not the same as being abandoned. Sometimes solitude is the place where you are returned to yourself. Sometimes the absence of distraction is a mercy. Sometimes life removes noise so that you can hear what matters. Sometimes the empty room is not a prison but a classroom. Sometimes the quiet is not punishment but preparation. It is in these moments that your real life begins to emerge. Not the life people expect, not the life built from fear, not the life designed to secure approval, but the life shaped by truth, A life in which you no longer need to pretend. A life in which your words and your actions align. A life in which your values are visible in how you live, not just in what you say. A life in which you no longer betray your deepest knowing. That kind of life is powerful. It is powerful because it is rare. It is powerful because it cannot be easily manipulated. It is powerful because it does not depend on the shifting opinions of the crowd. It is powerful because it comes from within, and anything that comes from within has roots. Anything with roots can endure storms. Anything with roots can grow back after being cut. Anything with roots can survive seasons of loss, doubt, and change. So plant roots. Plant roots in self-knowledge, plant roots in honesty, plant roots in discipline, plant roots in reflection, plant roots in meaningful work, plant roots in relationships that honor your growth, plant roots in silence, plant roots in courage, plant roots in a truth larger than your fear. Then watch what happens when life presses against you. You will not break as easily. You will bend, but you will return. You will be challenged, but you will not be erased. You will be tested, but you will not be lost. There is something beautiful about a person who has met their own darkness and still chooses the light. There is something beautiful about a person who has failed, learned, cried, recovered, and kept going. There is something beautiful about a person who no longer needs to appear flawless because they have discovered that authenticity is far more compelling than perfection. There is something beautiful about a person who no longer needs to dominate others because they have learned how to govern themselves. There is something beautiful about a person who has become quiet enough to hear their own soul and strong enough to obey it. That is the kind of beauty the world cannot manufacture. That is the beauty of inner work. That is the beauty of becoming. That is the beauty of wholeness. And maybe that is why this video found you. Not to entertain you, not to distract you, not to fill a few minutes of your day, but to remind you of something you already know, something you may have forgotten, something you may have buried under years of pressure, disappointment, ambition, and survival. You are not here merely to exist. You are here to become. You are here to discover. You are here to heal. You are here to face yourself. You are here to live with meaning. You are here to bring something unique into this world that only you can bring. No one else can do your inner work for you. No one else can choose honesty for you. No one else can surrender your false self for you. No one else can integrate your shadow for you. No one else can walk through your fear for you. No one else can decide that enough is enough. That choice is yours alone, and that is not a burden. That is dignity. That is freedom. That is the sacred responsibility of being alive. So today, do not merely hear these words. Receive them. Let them challenge you. Let them soften you. Let them awaken you. Let them remind you that every meaningful life begins with a moment of recognition, a moment when the soul says, "This is the path. This is the truth. This is the turning point." Perhaps this is yours. Perhaps this is the moment you stop running in circles and begin moving forward with intention. Perhaps this is the moment you stop asking the world to tell you who you are and begin asking yourself with sincerity. Perhaps this is the moment you stop waiting for permission to become who you were always meant to be. Perhaps this is the moment you realize that the struggle was never meant to defeat you. It was meant to reveal you. And when you finally see that, you will understand something profound. Nothing in your life was wasted. Not the pain, not the confusion, not the waiting, not the heartbreak, not the silence, not the detours, not the nights you thought you would not make it. All of it became part of the road leading you back to yourself. All of it was shaping your depth. All of it was teaching you how to see. All of it was preparing you for a life that is more honest, more grounded, more awake, and more alive. So stand up inside yourself. Stand up when fear tells you to shrink. Stand up when doubt tells you to quit. Stand up when shame tells you to hide. Stand up when the old version of you begs you to return. Stand up when the world tells you to be less than you are. Stand up and say, "I will know myself. I will face myself. I will honor truth. I will not abandon my soul again. That is how transformation begins. That is how freedom begins. That is how you become the person your life has been trying to make you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your invitation, not to perfection, but to truth, not to imitation, but to individuality, not to denial, but to awareness, not to emptiness, but to meaning, not to fear, but to courage, not to becoming someone else, but to finally becoming yourself. And if this video found you, maybe it was never just a video. Maybe it was a mirror. Maybe it was a signal. Maybe it was a reminder that your life still has depth you have not yet explored, strength you have not yet used, wisdom you have not yet trusted, and a destiny that will never be fulfilled by pretending to be anyone other than who you truly are. So listen to the call. Walk toward the truth, and do not be afraid of what you find there. Because on the other side of honesty is peace. On the other side of shadow is wholeness. On the other side of fear is life. And on the other side of this moment, if you choose it, is the beginning of the person you were always meant to become.